everybody. This is the Practical Path Podcast. Welcome back. I am Pastor D. This is Ashley, and we're here to talk to you today about God. That's right. This podcast is for those that are unchurched, those that are seeking, those that have questions, those that are angry at God for whatever reason. We want to talk to you. Please, if you're watching the podcast, like, comment, subscribe. It is Tuesday night. It's after 7 p.m. We're at 1028 Salem Avenue in Pathway Community Church, and we have a great topic tonight. Ashley, you have something to say to the people?
I hope everyone had a safe and enjoyable holiday.
Yeah, 4th of July. Pretty good time. It was chill. Had some friends over. And you know what? God afforded us that wonderful time. So today, this episode, it is about judgment in the church. I know a lot of folks, especially young folks, we talk about not wanting to let go of control of your life, not wanting to be completely dependent upon God. Also, judgment when it comes to Christians that they're trying to relate to. When I told you about this topic, what did you think about it? I mean, did you have any initial reactions when I was telling you about it earlier?
No initial reaction, but my first thought when you talk about Christians judging Christians is that's what we're known for, which is not good.
It's not good.
No.
Why is it not good?
Well, because first thing you learn, and if you're following Christ, you don't judge others. It's not our job.
Well, that's what it says, but what do we end up doing?
Judging others.
Exactly. And that's the thing. When it comes to being a Christian, one of the things about this ministry is that we're going to keep it real. We're very straightforward, honest, direct. And the fact is, while God is the final judge, we as humans, we appoint judges. We elect them, we put them in place, right? So we're going to judge people. I admit, I am a judgy person. I judge everybody. And it's not a matter of me judging them negatively or anything like that. It's how they present themselves. I look at people how they present themselves, and every single decision that I make towards that person is a judgment call. And that's just reality. It's not me trying to put a person down or trying to put a person up. It's if a person presents themselves a certain way, I'll make a judgment call, even for just myself, as to whether or not I wish to deal with that person, and then how I wish to deal with that person. Because even though as Christians, we're supposed to let God flow through us, we're supposed to let God's love flow out and touch others. The thing is that God doesn't just want us to put people in our lives that are going to tear us down or bring us down or become stumbling blocks. And I think that's where a lot of Christians get things wrong. That turns of folks that are in church, that are angry at God, that are just starting to ask those questions, those seeking questions, it turns them away because they feel judged. They feel as if that we're trying to get them to uphold, our standards versus God's standard of putting forth effort. You know, Jesus came and he was perfect. Jesus did everything without sin. He took on all sin. He defeated all sin. But Jesus in and of himself, flawless, perfect, sinless. And Jesus knows that in our sinful nature, we're not going to be perfect. We're not going to be able to match that. But at the same time, all Jesus asks for is step, is effort. Trying to forth, some sort of effort and energy towards getting to know Him, getting to know your fellow man, and letting God flow through you towards someone else that He can touch through you. But now, hon, what does that mean to you?
Well, here's a question for you.
Okay.
You're talking about judging people to see if it's somebody that you could mesh with.
Sure. Okay.
So do you think there's a difference in that type of judging versus the type of judging where somebody hears that you go and drink a beer or wine or whatever your choice of beverage is every night at dinner?
Okay.
Because there are Christians out there, as soon as they hear you drink anything alcoholic, they're judging you for it.
Okay. That's true. Uh, let's just say this. Let's approach the first one. Okay. You read both of them, right? Because you made it. Let's approach the first one. Judging as to whether or not to go deal with somebody. That's what I just addressed. And what I'm going to say is that we are tasked as Christians, yes, to approach people, to reach the world. That is that is our place in the Holy Communion. Now, granted, how we do it, may be different for each and every single one of us, right? But for me, God gave me a mouth, and He gave me a little bit of an attitude, a little bit of edge. So I got to meet people where they're at, and I'm direct about it. I'm apologetic about it. But in my discernment, which I guess is a better word than judgment, in my discernment, I have to be able to make sure that I'm I'm filled with enough of the Spirit, or I'm filled with enough of Him, where I can say, okay, if I believe that person is going to tear me down, or that person might drag me down, or be a detriment on my life, then my discernment has to tell me whether or not I should be the one to preach that person in God's name. Because maybe it's for somebody else to approach that person in God's name. Just because you're fiery, you got a thick skin, and all that, it doesn't mean that for the tough to crack nuts, you know, people that you would like to bring before God and introduce them to God, it doesn't mean that you're for every single person, right? So be it that's the case, I'm not to reach everybody. You're not to reach everybody. Our pastor Justin, he's not to reach everybody. He's there to make the attempt. We're there to make the attempt as God commands. So in my judgment, if I see someone that's okay, just again, let's use an example. If I'm seeing someone has been in and out of jail, person one, someone has been in and out of jail, person two, and I'm talking to both. Make the overture. I'll say, hey, I'm a person that follows God. I'd like to tell you what He's done for my life. Would you like to hear that? One person may say, sure, I'd like to hear about it. The other person may say, no, I don't really think so. That's not for me. Okay, maybe, maybe the Holy Spirit isn't to reach that person for me right then and there, or maybe not at all. You know, maybe not at all. And whereas this other person, sure, they said they want to hear it, but again, maybe I'm just there to plant the initial seed as God would have, and God through the power of the Holy Spirit will use someone else, or maybe just work on that individual personally, and I may have nothing else to do with it. And that's the thing. That discernment has to be something that is constant. It's not judgment. It is a judgment call, but it's not judgment per se. It's more okay. God, is it my time to reach this person, or am I supposed to be obedient here and follow what you're telling me to do with this person? Is it for me? Is this person for me, or am I for them? You know?
So it's not a judgment of the person, but it's a judgment of the situation and yourself.
Right, right. And I mean, you can take it either way. You can take it either way because yes, it's a judgment for the situation, but the person may take it as a judgment upon. I mean, like I said, this person over here, they've been in jail. They've had a lot of negative things. Made a lot of, let's say, they made a lot of bad choices, right? Bad circumstances.
Clearly, if they were in jail.
Hey man, you got a lot of stuff going around that might say otherwise. But the point is that let's say they've made a lot of bad choices, or bad circumstances have happened upon them, what have you, and I'm looking at what they've done. Okay, you got a 15-year-old kid. I'm not gonna put my kid in harm's way, you know, unless God is telling me, I've got you. You go do because I tell you to. And it won't be by words, it'll be by feeling, right? It'll be by compulsion. I'm not going to just arbitrarily try to reach every single person that I know has had bad circumstances. I will be open to it, but God, through through His, I guess again, through His empowerment and through his spiritual rallying of, my forces, of my strengths, of my ability, of my spiritual giftings. He'll give me the wherewithal to say, okay, this person, you need to stay clear of them. But that person, don't do. And that right there is that addresses the first one. It's kind of long-winded, but I think that addresses the first one. Would you agree? Yeah.
It's very long-winded.
Hey, look, Larry. You asked the question. I'm gonna,
Come out.
I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna answer. Okay, so what was the second one? I told you to remember because I wouldn't remember. What's the second one?
It's judging people for their actions or what they've done.
Well, that kind of got covered too, in a way.
In a way, but I think there's a difference between, I hate to use the judging, but I think there's a difference between judging whether an interaction or getting closer to somebody than outright saying, well, you sleep in until 12 o'clock every day. What the heck do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you put it on God's level or in the, realm of God, and you come across somebody says, well, I don't read my Bible, or I read my Bible once a week. You don't know the circumstances. You don't know why. You just know they only read it once a week. Sure. You will have some Christians that will be like, well, then you're not following Christ. You can't call yourself a Christian because you're not reading the Bible. That to me is more of a harmful judgment.
So you're talking about judging someone's life? Man.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get that. Yeah. So yeah.
And that's what's giving Christians bad rep that we have. And because we all go around judging everybody when we got our own stuff that we should be working on than worrying about what the rest of the world is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when somebody does call them out, well, why did you judge me? You're not supposed to do that. You're a Christian. Okay. There's always some excuse saying, pretty much saying, no, I'm okay. I'm like exempt from that. You're not.
You're right.
Instead of being honest, yeah, I judged you. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I totally agree. And I mean, I've made those judgments, and I still do. There are people, I mean, there are people in my family that, again, whether it's bad choices or bad circumstances, a lot of bad choices, but, I don't have them in our lives. It's sad and it's shame, but it's the truth. They're not in our lives because I don't want that around you. I don't want that in my house, and I certainly don't want it around my kid.
But the difference, though, well, there's no difference. But I guess what sets, I don't want to say sets people apart. I'm not sure what I want to say, but I think what makes it authentic Christianity, even a authentic Christian follower, is if those family members came to you or me and say, why can't they come over? You will flat out tell them the reason why. And when they say, well, aren't you a pastor and all that stuff? You say, yeah, I am, but I'm also human and I am fully judging you and making a decision based off of your life choices.
That's true.
I think that's the difference is we're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to be sinful. We're going to judge everybody. But I think the difference is owning up to it and saying, yes, I do. It's not a trait to have. It's not a good thing to do. But at least acknowledging it, owning it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Maybe some credit. That's what I'm
credibility. Gives you credibility. Yeah, definitely gives you credibility. I would have to agree with you 100% because I would rather someone know where they stand with me, especially spiritually, than trying to beat around the bush about it or trying to hide it. And what you said makes perfect sense because that's exactly how I am. And that's, in all honesty, everybody can't be that way, but that's how I believe it. But, guys, the ultimate end of it is if you are in the lane of not knowing Christ, you're unchurched, you're angry at God, whatever reason keeps you either out of a church or out of communication with God, you have the opportunity to change it and don't fear the judgment of other Christians because guess what? They're not the ones that you're there for. You're there for God. Anyway, we got to wrap this up. I am again Pastor D, and you are.
I'm Ashley. Everybody enjoy your week.
Everybody have a great week. This is the Practical Path Podcast. And